You have to deal with alcohol, drugs, fights. Ultimately, man, like the pressures of running a successful business in nightlife was too much for me, mate. I was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm starting a business. He was like, what is it? And I was like, cinnamon rolls. What, just cinnamon rolls? Yep, bought the things that I needed to have, like ingredients-wise, and literally just went straight into the kitchen, mate. Never baked before in my life. My mum came to help every so often, like in terms of like, I didn't know how to use the rolling pin. I didn't know nothing about it.
George, welcome to the Driven Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
That's all right. I'm looking forward to a good chat.
Yes, sir.
So, who is George?
George, that's a great question to start, mate. I like to consider myself as a creative who has a drive and an aspiration to create things from nothing. You know, just always had passion about the hospitality industry. And as an individual, just I consider myself just a normal guy, you know, that just loves to push the barriers and have fun doing it.
Good. Yeah. So you said then you've got the drive. So what does driven mean to you personally?
Yeah, so interesting one because driven, like like for example, if I'm driven towards something as an athlete or an entrepreneur or a musician, artist. Yeah. I think we've all got some innate drive inside of us. I think for me, it's pointing out where that's come from. Mm-hmm. Like, is that from on some level, it can be a drive to always be better. It can be a drive to always prove people wrong, which is not always healthy. But I think there's multiple levels to being driven, and I think it's what finding it within yourself. Ultimately, it is always like looking for me to be a better person, mm-hmm. to stay constantly learning, looking to improve always. Yeah,
love that. And what's driving you at the minute? What are you working on?
Roll boys, man, big time. Like all of my focus is going on roll boys. But I'm at the stage now where I also I've been so much involved in depth into the business, like really, really very, very much so. I've had to also have a rain check and be like, okay, so I heard something on a podcast this morning. He said the founder needs to look after the founder, because the founder needs to look after everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I can resonate with that hard in my current state. It's like, okay, so I've been working hard to get the business to where it's at today. I also need to remember, like, time for self, you know, do the things that George needs to do, you know.
Your business can only be as good as you are. Mm-hmm. And I think when you're grafting hard every day, you know, you can reach that sort of burnout stage where you're literally doing everything, you're working hard and, you know, you're putting yourself through some pain. But sometimes that can be capped at a ceiling, and if you're struggling to get past that point, you know, actually taking a step back, recharging is actually better for the business, even though it doesn't feel like it in the time.
Yeah, man.
So that's the stage you're at the minute.
100%, mate. Like literally, kind of like was really having to be honest with myself about like the period of like, because there's only so much you can go, you know, and I've been going for the last 2 years pretty much flat out, mate. Like the whole journey itself, with the sacrifices that have been made and like having to get how I've got to where I've got to, there's been that moment where I've been like, okay, slow down, seek the help, ask, like whether it be therapist, business coach, mentors, support system, you know, lean on that.
There's a real power in asking for help, but we're going to roll boys more in a little while. But what we like to do is go back to the start a little bit. So what was life like growing up?
I had a different drive, and that was for football. I was obsessed with very much that was my life, was football. Was never really academically great through school. I was always just average, but it was in the sports and athletics that I thrived,
Yeah.
and always had an ambition to become a professional footballer. So I put everything into that. I had my dad who was driving me hard.
That's right. Yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah. He pushed me, which taught me a lot. But ultimately, it didn't happen for me. Like, the path wasn't written that way.
How do you find? Because I've heard a lot of footballers talk who have made it, and that is a common trait. Really, they're pushed quite hard. How did you find that? Because people tend to go one way or the other.
Yeah. I hated it at the time. And there was resentment growing up from that as well. Like, it was tough. Because I felt like I didn't have a normal childhood.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't a normal kid. And I was having this conversation the other day. It was like, it's a hard one, because in order to get to top level professional football athlete, whatever it is, like, you have to have that, like, there's that innate driving force, whether it be from a coach or family member, and you have to stay disciplined, you have to stay on course, you have to, like, blur out the distractions and noises. But it's hard, man. And ultimately I got to the point of where, like, I fell out of love with the game. I didn't want to do it anymore, and that's the way that I went. But looking back, I equally took a lot from it: resilience, the hard work, and focus. Yeah.
There's a good lesson in that, because you spoke about building resentment, and which can be which is a negative emotion. But now, as you've grown and probably, it sounds like you've developed a lot of self-awareness. Can see the positive in that for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I do come back to it, and I know if there's ever a moment that I'm doubting myself and my ability, I can go back to when I was a 14-year-old on trial at Leyton Orient Football Club, and my focus, my ability to, like, work hard to try and get signed was relentless, and ultimately ended up happening. And I go back to that point quite often, and I'm like, you got this in you. Like, you've got this. Like, this is it's inside. So if you're listening to the self-doubt telling you that you can't, like, just remind yourself of where you've been and what you've done. You know, and that's what, just one pinpoint moment I can go back to and say, like, yeah, that's a lesson, like, from something that I was equally struggling with at the time. Yeah.
Yes, you've proved it to yourself already. So you trialled Leyton Orient, played for Southend as well.
That's it, man.
What age was you when you got released?
So 16, I was released from Orient. Then I went to Rushden and Diamonds, who are now no longer. They was in Northampton Way. And I'd done my scholarship up there for 2 years. Got released at 18. Went to Southend for a year. Got released from there, and then I went to Torquay until I was 20.
Right.
And then, ultimately short contract there, and then got released after that. So it was like five different clubs. And
what was that feeling like when you got released from the last one?
The last one was like, I knew like my professional career was over.
Do you remember the exact point where you felt that?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it was a split moment. I was in the room, and he said that I'm young. Like, he's in a league that needs experienced players, League 2 at the time, and I just didn't have the experience, and they didn't have the money to keep me on. So I was like, hey, but the feeling was, I think it was more of acceptance rather than, like, comparing to when I was 16 and I got released from Orient. I didn't understand why, because I was playing so well, but it was just down to one person's opinion. So after all of these setbacks at the different clubs, I got to Torquay, and I was just like, okay, like, I understand, like, maybe this path wasn't for me. And ultimately I went into the non-league and then retired at 23.
Yeah. What's your overarching feeling about that stage? You know, is it disappointment? Is it, is it just part of life and you're over it?
Yeah, part of life, man. I'm not disappointed about it at all. I believe in, like, that wasn't meant for me, you know. But like, if you can look back and let go of that, and you can take, like we said, the positives from it, take what you've learned, how it's built you as a character, and implement that and embody that into your daily, into your life. After it, that's where the power is. I think, you know, I think it's when you hold on to that. When you hold on to it, you carry it. That I should have that. This is what I should have been, and that entitlement to be thinking like but that's where suffering comes from.
Yeah, it's a negative emotion.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to this podcast because I know you're quite spiritual in some ways, quite an emotional guy as well. So, hence the questions while he was going down that route. But so you left at 20, knocked around in non-league for a little while. Then you went and took over one of your dad's businesses. Yeah. I used to go there back in the days. You took over a nightclub bar. Yeah. What was life like then? That must have been a crazy time.
Yeah, mate. So obviously starting it at 23 years old, you know, literally I was thrown into the deep end. Like my dad gave us the opportunity to like, it was like, here you go. And then it was left to me, and ultimately me and my sister. But like, I took the lead role, the face of the business. And you want the truth, like before I started it, everyone that I knew and everyone in my family thought that my sister was going to be the one that took the leading role. Okay. But like when the opportunity came up, that switch inside of me just went, like there was like this reignition of life, like, and I just became obsessed with the business. And from that point, like kind of just went with it. Like it was something that just happened naturally. I didn't expect it to happen, and the business kind of grew and became really popular. And at a young age, I didn't have the tools to deal with that mentally or emotionally. And it was a hard time, man. Amazing time. It was amazing to be part of, like to have some amazing experiences. I still remember like times because I was obviously DJing there as well, seeing your face in the crowd there, mate. And
I remember that a few times.
Yeah, but ultimately, man, like the pressures of running a successful business in nightlife was too much for me, mate. Like I tried to fit into this box. I tried to fit into the identity of being a nightclub owner or a bar owner, whatever. I tried to be like my dad, really. Well, I'm completely different to him. And it's a hard industry, mate. Like you have to deal with alcohol, drugs, fights, and you name it, the rest of it. You know, so it was tough. It was really tough, and that led me to being in a really difficult place with it. Even though it was going so well. And things happened, incidents happened, journey went crazy, like it all kind of just like came to an end. And I knew it was my time to go, you know. So for me, I left before it. I left at the right time for me. And I went through my own struggles massively, like really, really, really went through it. And without knowing really what it was at the time, like you got to remember, like a 23-year-old, mid-20s, like kid with access with money from obviously the business was doing well, so I had money, and there was obviously the distractions of like girls and partying and you name it. So it was wild, and all of the time I felt like this wasn't me.
These are the things that I think is crazy, because most people who knew you at that point in time would think he loves his life, and they would think, you know, you've got quite a big ego, but you're partying all the time, there's girls, whatever it may be. They don't see what it's like behind the scenes, do they?
No, mate. And that's the thing. Everyone would have fucking dreamed to be in my like in that scene anyway. Like they would have thought it would have been a fucking amazing job, amazing business to have, you know. My life was crazy, but like they saw it on a Saturday, on a Friday and a Saturday, sometimes a Sunday. But they didn't see the rest of the week, what was happening, you know?
What was the rest of the week?
A lot of it was, I was just like I said, I was obsessed with the business, mate. So I was like doing everything. everything, mate. Very operational. I understood, like I was brought up like this is what I'm very different to my dad, but that's only come from my later years. But like in my 20s, like I had the guidance, like he's very much an operator of his business, like still to this day. Like he hasn't found the way to like
pull himself
away.
Yeah.
So it's been complete. And I was that. I was like doing everything, and it drove me to the ground, mate.
Did you feel like in the time that you had a point to prove to him?
100%. That's all I was. I was trying to please him.
Yeah.
Everything I did, every move, every decision was, what's my dad gonna think of this? You know, and that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to prove to him that I could, and yeah, and then I learned that I didn't have to do that. I knew I could step out and be my own person, and that was the beginning of stepping out of the shadow and finding out like who I am and what I'm about.
So talk to us a little bit about that journey. Then. So you went away South America, is it?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, set in Mexico.
Right. Okay.
Well, it was before that. Really, it was COVID times.
That was, so the business shut down,
Business
and you had
shut
time
down
to reflect.
Completely. It was like it was shut off from the world.
Yeah.
You know.
What was because that must have been a crazy time. But what was the overarching feeling at that point? Because that must have been a bit of fear. That
Relief, mate. Relief. Like pure relief.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to do anything about it. I didn't care about it at that point. I just wanted to get away from it, and that gave me the opportunity to do that. We obviously had to close, so I was left with a choice. Like, am I going to turn my attention and focus onto video games and Netflix and you know the rest of how that goes, or am I actually going to do something about this? And because I realized I had to change my life, I had to change what was happening inside, and that was the beginning of the journey. Like during the COVID period, like it was the best time for me. Switched off, changed everything, found a new path, and started walking it. And that led me to like going to Mexico, and I was away for 4 months in Mexico and another 3 months in the US, and I was really just figuring out what was next, you know. And then like ultimately went on this crazy journey with I had an ex-girlfriend at the time. We was floating between. We came back to Europe. I was floating between Germany here, then decided to go to Costa Rica.
All with her, or
yes, all with her, yeah. And then ultimately I left Costa Rica, went to LA, and now this is like 2023. So you think I left the bar like officially at the end of like I really fully left at the end of 21. So just at the end of the COVID period, and then so I'd gone on this 2-year journey where I was using the money from the business, my half of the business, to like keep me going.
Which doesn't last forever.
Which didn't last forever. And now I'm in the US in the beginning of 2023, running out of money, thinking, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? Mate, it was rough, man. Like I kept, opportunities kept coming up. The reason why I was in the US was to try and help this guy with his business. Didn't work out. Then I was left back to zero, and I was like, my head was all over the place. I was trying to extend the trip because I didn't want to come back to the US. And then, it was in that period of time when the idea for Roll Boys just landed. And that's when I literally got on the plane home, mate, and just came back to the UK and just got straight to it. Like, it was that moment. And
go back to where you was, though. So you spent a lot of time, 2 years away. Was that to escape the reality of what life was like here? Or was that because you was enjoying it so much there? What was the thought behind that?
I think there was an element of both, to be honest. I found this newfound excitement and newfound energy for life. And I wanted to explore that. I wanted to see what was out there for me in different countries, and especially the US. I've always had a thing for the US against some other people's opinions, maybe, but like for me, like I've always had a thing for it, and I just wanted to see what was there, like where was there possibilities for me. So it was more seeking rather than like running away, I believe.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in the UK. I spent a lot of my life there, like just going through the motions of business and football straight into business. So this was like let's go and explore. So yeah, that's really why. Yeah, and then I kind of like went through my whole like still emotions there, you know. I was like facing a lot of like self-doubt and a lot of like anxiety, and so it wasn't all amazing. Because I was going through this real transformational process in my life where I was trying to figure it out.
What changed in you in that period of time?
Sorry?
What changed in you?
Faith in the process, trust in the process. I knew without knowing, you know, what I needed to do, where I needed to be. And that I had a belief, and I wasn't willing to compromise on the life that I wanted to live. I never had the question. I never had like real solid thoughts about coming back to the UK and getting a job. You know, it just wasn't my thing. It just wasn't in my mind. Like I just knew something would land. I knew I had the faith and I had the trust in the process that it would work out. And like I say, it was when my back was against the wall the most did that moment arise. You know, so I went through all of those ups and downs, the turmoil, confusion, doubt, everything to get to the moment of where like I was really pushed to thinking like where I had no money, no money for a flight home, and I was in the middle of Houston in Texas, and I was thinking, what now? And like literally, I just say it. It was something. Obviously, we'll get onto the rollboy stuff, but it was like an idea that was planted in in my mind that just came to the forefront right when I needed it the most. And that was when I was like, yeah, you like this process is all part of it. Yeah.
You went on quite a spiritual journey when you was away, didn't you? Has that always been in you, or was that something you found when you was away?
Yeah, no, it was through the transformation. I say transformation. It was through the period of COVID when I was starting to become curious about life and who I was and what was this all about?
What's the purpose of everything?
What is this? And I started to read books, and I started to listen to podcasts, and I started to change my habits and become healthier, and within that process, I became intrigued into like self-inquiry. You know, and within that becomes meditation practices, within that becomes yoga, within that becomes Eckhart Tolle, and you know, and other spiritual writers and things. You know, you start to learn more, and the Dalai Lama and things like that. But then the other side of it was looking through like how plant medicines can like, have been used in this world, and became interested in that, and that is what took me to Mexico in the first place.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So I went on a retreat, and then ultimately after that I was meant to fly home back to the UK, and I decided not to, and that's when the journey really began.
So how long was you meant to go there for?
2 weeks.
And you stayed 2 years?
Stayed, yeah. The whole journey was a 2-year process, yeah.
Wow. It's quite a story.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It all come from pain though, mate. Like, it all come from suffering.
But I think a lot does though, doesn't it? I think a lot of people, when they're going through that feeling of, you know, whether it's anxiety, depression, or genuine hate for what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and your back's against the wall, only you can change that.
Mm-hmm.
No one else can change it for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got to grab the ball by the horns and go and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It ain't. But I think like sometimes like it's when you really get to that moment of like this has to change. And that's where it kind of like I was at. And I think other people like I have empathy, so much empathy because like the path isn't linear, is it? So
Definitely not.
so like even to this day, like I go through those moments and I have these like emotions and thoughts that I go through hard times with it. So it's always a journey, but I constantly say like to the journey and not the destination, and that's something that I have to keep reminding myself. Like it's difficult, and there's other people out there that are also suffering in their own ways, and like we each react to it in different ways. So it might be a death, it might be loss of a job, it might be just pure exhaustion and depression that forces you to make a change. So yeah, I have empathy for anybody in this situation. I understand how difficult it is to actually to move through that and past it. But it's like understanding like what is on the other side of that can be really beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah, I think empathy is a really good emotion or a really good tool that people can have, but it's hard to have it unless you've been through it.
Exactly.
Of course, you know, you've actually experienced those feelings.
Yeah.
But let's go on to Roll Boys then.
Yeah.
You know, you've got it on your hat there.
Yeah, man.
So the idea was when you was in Houston, did you say?
Houston, yeah.
So
Texas.
where did the idea come from?
So basically what happened, mate, was years ago I tried Cinnabon for the first time.
Yeah.
Obviously a big American brand. Years, I'm talking like 2015. And it was in the US. And I was like mind blown by the concept.
Right.
And I just remember the smell, I remember the taste, I remember the warmth, and that stuck with me. Now there's a whole long story to this, but I'll condense it right down. Basically, when I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, I landed on like this concept for a cafe idea. And I love the creation process. I love like it's what fucking fuels me, mate. And I started building mood boards on Pinterest, like of how the store would look and the menu and everything, right? So I got this cafe concept, and as I'm like building out the Pinterest boards, I'm in LA at the time. And I'm sitting in these coffee shops and I'm just going from coffee shop to coffee shop, getting all this inspiration. And I'm building out these mood boards. And as I'm building out like the foods, the menu, like on Pinterest, like cinnamon rolls kept coming up. Like they kept appearing, like all these different flavor ones. And I was like looking at it and I was like, I did not know you could do all of these flavors of cinnamon rolls. Like I wasn't aware. Like I thought it was just the standard one. Never been introduced to anything like this. So I kept saving them to the board, and obviously as you save them, the algorithm will start showing you more. And I was like mind blown with how many flavors were on that I could see. And then my mind went back to like this moment where I tried Cinnabon and thought that's fucking really cool, like idea, the concept. And then like my mind started to go. I was like, okay, so I love one concept ideas. I love hospitality. I love food. I loved Cinnabon, but I saw their brand and I was like, this is a dated brand. It's from the 1980s or wherever it started. They're not innovative with these flavors. So I was like, why is Cinnabon not doing all of these flavors? Like, is that insane? And they position themselves in shopping centers and airports. And I'm like, maybe like I could do something where you start a cool brand, you're innovative with flavors, and you don't just limit yourself to high footfalls, shopping centers and airports. And I'm gonna tell the story of building that and telling the story of the brand, and literally checked those those markers, mate. And I was in Houston. I was staying with a Mexican guy on a thing called trusted house sitters, where you don't have to pay for accommodation.
Right.
Like, you look after their pets. There's a whole backstory to that, but we won't
Hey.
get into it. And it was in his house where I was calling my dad, and I was like, Dad, I got this idea. Do you have the equipment for it in your bar, in his bar in Leon C, Essex? And he had the equipment. I was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm starting a business, and he was like, what is it? And I was like, cinnamon rolls. And he was like, what, just cinnamon rolls? I was like, yep, different flavour cinnamon rolls. He was like, you're mad. I was like, it's fine. I'm booking a flight home, borrowed money to pay for the flight, because obviously I didn't have the money to fly. So obviously, hence why I was staying in trying to have accommodation for free, because I didn't have the money for accommodation. It was wild, mate. And then, booked the flight home, landed, managed to get a credit card, small amount, and bought the things that I needed to do. Needed to have like ingredients wise, and literally just went straight into the kitchen, mate, and went back there and just went for it.
Was you an avid baker before that?
Never, bro, never baked before in my life.
No? What did you get on YouTube?
YouTube. My mum came to help every so often, like in terms of like, I didn't know how to use the rolling pin, like I didn't know nothing about it, and I just was like in there, like just doing it. The first ones were terrible, awful.
Did you ever have any doubt when those first ones were bad? Did you think can't do this,
Mate,
or you was just aligned?
That was my moment. That was the moment of like, this is it.
Yeah.
Something switched. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it like, there was that moment where like I didn't care what was in the way. Like looking back on it, it's actually such an amazing feeling. Like I didn't care what was in the way. Like there was hurdles, yes, but the ability to navigate through the madness was just so much more. It was like a flow rather than a resistance. So I could just like power forward, mate. Like and it all just happened naturally. And I wasn't waiting for perfect.
Yeah, which do you know what is, I think, a real skill of entrepreneurs, successful ones, is done is better than perfect. You get better along the way, but you just got to get started, start taking that action and building. So I remember we spoke about this, must have been a year, maybe just over a year ago, and you was doing pop-ups on Sundays, I think it was, in your dad's bar, and you was having people travel from Wales and stuff like that.
Yeah, mate.
So what was that? Because it blew up quite quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
So what was that like? Did that take you back to the days of owning a nightclub, or was this a new feeling? What was that like?
It was a new feeling, mate. It was new, and I tell you, because what had happened, I just come back to like, obviously I started it in Essex, and I was doing a pop up there. And then from the feedback initially, straight away, I knew like I had something here, and I had the vision. I was like, I need to take this to London. So I spent 5 months in Lee in Essex, and it started to build. Like there was a real energy around it. And then in January, long story short, but I had an opportunity to like look to partner with a brand in London, like to take it to London with its own site, everything. They wanted to partner with me. Done that, closed in Lee completely to go all in on London. That was my focus. So I took the sacrifice, moved into my nan's, cut all my costs, like, and I was just, eyes were set. 3 months in, I knew it wasn't right, so I pulled out. And then I was like, I'm still going with this. I'm still going. The journey needs to carry on. And I was doubting things, but I was still pressing forward. And I was like, I need to do things to keep the brand alive. So that's when I decided to go back to Lee to do the Sundays. I'd done 9 Sundays in a row because I'd done that on purpose. I wanted to just keep offering it, like keep the excitement around the brand, and like just for a short time period. And this was the first time that I've ever done like walk up, like instead of like pre-orders, so like walk-in orders. And it was the first Sunday, right? And I'm in the kitchen, like grinding away, like to get everything sorted. And it was coming close to opening time. right? And the plan was to go outside, say hello, open the doors. I didn't have a clue if anyone was going to turn up. Like, I've been in the back of the kitchen, so I didn't know what was going on, mate. I walked out, and this is on video. I've got a video of this because a lad that was helping me. I walked out the front door and I looked to my right, and there's just a queue of people down the street, like to the end of the road. And I was laughing, like I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe what had fucking happened. Yeah. And then like he's recording me. We're both like laughing. You can hear it's in the background. He's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Open the door, sold out. Next week, guys come from wherever, like far, and he's bought his deck chair, his like fishing chair thing, and he sat outside for like, I don't know, like an hour and a half before to be first.
No.
And he sat there reading his book on his chair, and like same again, lying down the street. And for the 9 Sundays, it was just every Sunday was just boom.
I came to one. I was in the queue, and I think we wasn't even that far, and nearly sold out already.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it was wild. And then, yeah, mate, and that was the moment where I knew, like, shit, people are traveling here. It was the moment where it was like, keep going, like, keep pressing on with this, like, because I went through so much uncertainty in that year because I left the partnership. Now I'm on my own trying to figure it out. And ultimately I ended up being in this position where I was like, this gave me the motivation to carry on, like to try and find something to stay on course. And it ended up working out.
So every week, because you was doing it every Sunday, so you're building momentum each week. You're busy every week, you're selling out every week. And then you wanted to go to London. There was a gap in between, wasn't there? So what was that like? Because you've gone from being busy, looking forward to Sunday each week to then nothing again.
Rough, mate. It was rough.
Was you ever scared that momentum might go and you might not be able to pick it back up?
No, it comes back to the trust in the process again. You know, the faith that I had, and the belief in the journey. Because I was documenting the journey, I was like keeping people informed of what was happening. It wasn't like I just finished the Sundays and that was it. I was letting people know what was going on, where it was happening. And there were frustrating times. There were times when like I would sit with, like, for example, Seven Dials Market or Box Park, and they were super interested to put Roll Boys in there. And I was like, this is great, but it's not it.
It's not right.
And having to deal with that, like thinking, shit, I'm turning down an opportunity here. But I also knew like this was what I needed to do. And ultimately out the blue, like I got a phone call from the guy who owns the Saint Espresso where we're at now, saying like, how do I feel about running a residency there? And then I was like, cool. Like I went down there, had a look at the space, like we ironed it all out, like spoke about how it's all gonna work and things, and it felt right. It was like the opportunity that aligned. It was the opportunity that gave me the starting point to actually where I wanted to take Roll Boys.
And that's been a massive success as well.
Massive, yeah.
Even bigger queues out the door.
Yeah, man. Like I still to this day I'm like, how like it's like every weekend. Like we're only Saturdays and Sundays still, so there's still the element of exclusivities to it, shall we say? But yeah, it's still going, man. Still going, and like now looking to press things forward and keep growing and keep getting better.
What's the bigger goal? Where does Roll Boys go to in your mind?
It's I always say this, and I've said this from the very beginning. I want to take this as far as I possibly can, like me personally, and that is to drive the brand forward, to be a founder-led, brand-led, people-led business that has integrity at its heart by not losing the heart and soul, so not prostituting the brand to opening 50 sites in London, but doing it a strategic way where there's still the heart and soul. And I'm I know that the brand can go everywhere. It can go global, and that's ultimately I do want that.
Yeah.
But I want the stages where I can take it up to before ultimately you hand it over and you let it go to the VCs and you go away you go. From that stage, as long as I'm in it and as long as I believe that I can take it as far as I possibly can, I want to make sure that the heart and soul and the integrity of the brand remains, and it's a brand focused thing where it's not your status quo bakery, it's not your status quo F&B brand. I want to impose my creativity into the direction of the brand, and ultimately, I'm not a baker. You know? I'm a creator.
Which
who's learned.
was my next point, which is you've grown the social presence, which has obviously driven the massive queues and everything like that.
Yeah.
But you're probably one of the best storytellers that I know at the minute, and best creatives. So anyone watching this, you know, they may be in a similar position. They may have an idea for maybe a food brand, maybe a clothes brand, whatever it may be. But if they want to travel that same path of building the brand up on social media, how do they start? What do they do?
There's a lot said about like creating an energy around what you're doing, you know, and that comes from people attaching an emotion to someone or something. Now, how do you portray your personality best to somebody that might be watching so that they can watch it and resonate to what you're doing, the journey, for them to ultimately create this connection to not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it. So if I can only talk on my experience, and if somebody's watching this that is wondering about starting something of their own, like, I knew from the beginning that I wanted to tell the story of this. I wasn't afraid of putting myself in front of the camera and documenting the journey of this guy that had an idea that brought it to life and is now working at it to try and make it a thing.
Yeah.
You know, so if you can get out of your way and get in front of the camera and whatever format, tell the story of your brand, you're giving people an opportunity to relate to you. You're giving people an opportunity to become invested in your journey, which then ultimately you're not trying to sell somebody the thing. They're invested into your journey. They're bought into what you're doing, and ultimately that will then transfer and then wanting to come and try your product or buy your product or buy your service. But that then comes the other side of it where your product has to be great.
Yeah.
You know, it has to live up to that, and that's what unfortunately I have managed to do. Is the product lives up to the expectations. So.
And then your fans, if you like, or your community that you're building, they then become your extended marketing, don't they? Because they're sharing it on socials and telling their friends to come and everything like that. You've also done some quite funny stuff as well. But I think I'll see one of you dressing up as Jesus, eating the roll boys.
Yeah, that was for the Sundays.
Yeah. No, I remember.
That I like to, like, again, I'm not looking to create this as a technical corporate brand where like you just go onto the Instagram page and there's somebody trying to sell you something. These are amazing. These are great. You should come and have these. You know, nobody buys that shit, man. Like, you do, but it's like surface level.
People know what's real.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's not, don't they?
Yeah.
Are you intentional with the stuff you put out, or does it come quite natural? Do you have to plan it?
No planning.
No?
Zero. And that scares me because I love it. I love the impulsiveness. I love the it's not structured. And I feel like I work best like that. Yeah. But I understand that as the business grows, like there can be some more structure to it. Yeah. And that scares me to be in that position of like structure and like planning, because right now everything is just natural. It just comes and I just execute. Like, I was listening to James Smith. Do you know? I was listening to James Smith the other day, and I can relate to him hard on how he works within his business. And he was like, if I have an idea for a piece of content, I want it shot and I want it edited and I want it posted the same day or next day. He's like, I don't want to wait 2 weeks. And I'm exactly the same. Like, I just want to idea, execution, go.
Get it out.
Yeah. And that's how I've done this whole thing. Yeah.
Like we said earlier, I think it's that action, that relentless action that keeps the needle moving. Doesn't
Yeah.
it? Keeps you moving forward.
Yeah, mate. Keeps you going. And I think like you can get bogged down in the weeds. You can get bogged down in the bits that you don't enjoy, which is my experience recently, like the business side of the business. But when it comes to, like, for me, the creative aspect and having ideas and being set on them, and then it's like, okay, action now, let's go, and I'm relentless with it. So yeah, man, fully understand, like, in order to get from here to there, like there has to be that willingness to go through the shit also,
100%.
Yeah.
What is it that you don't like about the business side of things?
Oh, mate. What is it?
Is it that structure and the facts of being organised and not disciplined, because you are a disciplined guy, but it can take away the creative spark?
Yeah, as soon as you take away the creative spark, as soon as you take me out of my freedom to create, shall we say, and start talking about like the actual business side of, like, whether it be financials or operations or managing teams and managing staff and people, and like also like dealing with conflicting advice from people that are in the industry, and you're like, I don't resonate with you, or I don't resonate with you, but like, why do I feel so misunderstood in this thing? So there's a lot of that goes on that I just dislike, and I'm just like, I need to find my path where, like, there's this infrastructure of the business that I can overview these areas and have teams and things that can help me drive the business forward, that understand how I work best, and how I'm gonna how I can take the brand forward, and that's the position that I want to put myself.
I think your strength is probably what businesses need, though, which is that being able to sell. If the business can sell, it's got a good product, it's got a good following, you can find people to do the other stuff, and that's ultimately how you're going to scale it. Isn't it?
Well, the hardest thing, and I speak about this with a few people, is like, I'm very fortunate to be a creative founder, because social media is, like, for example, is such a massive thing these days, and there's so many founders out there that haven't got the creative will to, like, focus on social media or want to be good at it, because they might be better at the finances, the operations, the business management, all of that. So they have to outsource that, and it's never the same voice. It's never the same thing, and it's hard for founders. So I count myself very lucky to be in this position where I can find other people that can take over those other areas, for sure.
I'm going to go back to something you touched on earlier, about looking after yourself.
Yeah.
What do you do at the minute to look after yourself?
Well, I went through a couple of years where, like, finances was like storm. I didn't have, like, money. Like, obviously, starting Roll Boys, this was. Yeah. So I didn't have spare money for, like, therapists. I didn't have spare money for, like, gym memberships or like courses or well-being retreats or anything of the sorts, like things that I would naturally be drawn to. So that was a real struggle, and that led me to being in a difficult place mentally. So I've recently started to take more like a smaller, like a salary for the work that I'm doing, which is an amazing feeling. So this now enables me to have therapy sessions. This enables me to, like, look, like I was saying to you before, like, look into business coaches and, like, have some more time to go away, actually step away and go on holiday. And, so start building that infrastructure for my own self, as well as the business, which there were parts of it knocked down. So I have to come back to those things that were helping me before: journaling, the writing, the taking time for myself, the therapy, the coaching, and just building that infrastructure once again. So it's early stages of that again. Yeah. But again, it's like I said, it's not linear. It's up and down always. So yeah, I would say those things are really the key points, and being able to step away, and solitude is a massive thing for me. Like being able to disconnect. Like I go to a thing called Unyoked, which is a cabin in the woods, like remote cabin, like no signal, and you're just there, like no electronics. Like obviously they've got lights, but it's heated by a wood fire, and you're in the woods, just you, or you. Like I just go just me, and I go there for 3 or 4 days, like no phone, and just be, and that has been something that reawakens, gives myself space. Yeah. Because as a creative, I don't know about others, but for me, I find that creativity when I have mental capacity to be able to just think clear. And so those things really meet.
Yeah. I love it. At the end of each episode, we ask every guest, from their experiences in life, business, whatever it may be, to give 3 pieces of advice that anyone listening can take and implement again into their business or their life. So what would your 3 things be?
The first one would be, don't give up on yourself. Believe, like if you have that belief and you have that feeling inside, like it doesn't matter like the opinions of others, but like the last thing you want to do is give up on yourself. If you know that this is what you want to do, then stay course. The second thing is know that at times it's going to be an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
And sometimes at the highest level, and you just got to swim through the swamps, mate, and get through to the other side, because no matter how far the other side seems, there is another side. So just keep going.
Resilience.
Yeah, resilience. And the third one I would say is be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Like everyone has to start somewhere. Yeah. Nobody's perfect. Nobody has all the answers. And it's about finding what's true to you, finding what's true in the heart, and follow that. And I think that's my 3.
Love it, mate. Love it. It's been amazing having you on, George. Thank you so much.
Mate.
You've been so open, so honest.
Cheers, mate.
I think you're absolutely smashing it.
Cheers,
and
man.
really excited to see what you do with Roll Boys. So
appreciate that, Jamie, mate.
Keep tabs on that.
Love it, man. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Driven Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment to let us know what you found most insightful. But most importantly, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next episode.